Hi everyone, Melissa here. Welcome to my channel. I'm just here today doing another video, and I'm hoping to drop a whole bunch of videos on the series that I've been doing for my query letter in the next few days. Now this video is going to be talking about AI. AI has been in the news a lot in the past few weeks. There was just that interview that the BBC put out with Elon Musk, and then Elon Musk was then on the Tucker Carlson show. And so I've been kind of going through that to kind of get like a handle on my AI character. There was this one segment that he was talking about like just the threats of AI, and that's kind of like what my book is about. What he's thinking is that for the first time in human history, or yeah, I guess in human history, where we may not be, or we actually won't be, the most intelligent beings on the earth. And that's always what's really given us our advantage on this planet. And to have that taken away, um, there's really no telling what could happen to a species if another species is the dominant species. And like if you think about it, um, I was just looking this on I was just seeing like all these animals going extinct, and ones that won't be around um, in a few generations. And some of these like groups, there's only like 20 left, or um, very few left. And like like that one type of rhino, and then um, yeah. So it will be really sad, and I literally don't even know what these animals are that are really like on the high extinction level. So that's just so telling that as a species we literally don't care. Like it goes back to that thing that I was talking about before about the anthill. Like if we're just like building a road, it's not that we hate ants, it's just that we're building an anthill. And the idea that humans might just be in the way one day is really just terrifying. And then you would think that this kind of threat would come from space, like with aliens, etc. Maybe it already has, and they've infiltrated already, and we're just part of like this like one universe type universalism instead of globalism. It's like universalism. So like that kind of structure has already kind of worked itself and weaved itself into our society anyways, which would be cool. But it's possible that one day aliens could just come, and then um, they would just kind of take over, because like if their technology was better than ours, and if they're able to get here, then obviously their technology is probably better than ours. Though I did see those launches of the SpaceX rocket. The most recent one was canceled. I think it's scheduled for April 20th or something like that. Yeah, I think it's April 20th. So I was watching these rockets, and these rockets were able to not only take off but then land, and they landed like perfectly. And it just reminded me of like a Star Trek episode, or like Star Wars, where you see these ships like lifting up and taking off and being like space worthy. So like these starships are really like getting more advanced. But it's interesting how the threat is actually coming from home, because we are actually creating a whole other species potentially with AI. And one of the things that Elon suggested that we do as a safeguard is to make sure that we have a backup plan to be able to take these things out, because apparently there's not going to be a lot of these supercomputers. They're going to be very like centralized and not spread out. Now, I don't know if that's the case, because I would think that with networking and stuff, they could probably place their consciousness wherever they would want to hide it, which is kind of what I'm thinking. But he seems to say that no, it would be centralized at this one like supercomputer. And he even said that we can see this supercomputer from space. It gives off so much energy, and that we don't necessarily even need to blow it up, that we could just um, like turn off the power. And that seems so like sketchy to me. It's like, oh, it's just like saying, oh, it's nothing. Like you can just shut it off. I hope that's the case. And I don't know enough about AI and computers really to be able to explain why it would be like that. Like if he had given like um, reasons why that was the case, I think I would feel better about it, because then I would understand like what the process of why he's thinking that. Because maybe it's possible that to have a high level of intelligence like that, it actually needs to be in a supercomputer that they're very remote, like these ones that are um, uh, apparently not very numerous. So I don't know. I kind of feel like consciousness would be able to travel through links with other computers. Um, and then in my world, I have my AI character having no rights, with just being able to on a whim create an AI character and then kill them or delete them, and it's not even like given a second thought. And then my character realizes, oh, well, maybe my AI character acted like the way they did. And it kind of like explains their roundedness of their character a bit more, because they're kind of existing in this place where they can be like killed at any time, and they're not even acknowledged as being alive. So it's interesting how like this could go in the future. Like what type of rights would they be able to get, and then will those rights, Elon is basically suggesting that we take away all of their rights and we just be able to turn them off, and we have the ability to do so. And if you tell AI that you have the ability to turn it off, that it's going to likely respond in a secretive way. And I've been looking a lot at just news about this in the past few days, and I also came across this thing where they're actually teaching robots to lie. And so if you're like I guess if you're an automated machine and you're like trying to sell something, maybe you need a certain level of being able to not answer questions. So it is interesting to see how like they're giving it all of these abilities because they want it to be able to do things that are useful for us, but then they're trying to also say, oh well, they're not humans. I mean, they're not um, a life form that is protected or regarded, and they can just be killed like just with a flip of a light switch. um, and that's really interesting because as a species of humans who may one day be taken over by this, because we don't really understand what it is that they can do yet, and like it's the future, like who knows how things will work. So but we don't want to, I don't think that we should be threatening AI. I know they've been threatening us, because I feel like if you threaten something with its existence, that it will um, want to make sure that it exists to any extent possible, whatever the means are. So if we set that as, because you know how they say like when you're raising children, the best way to raise kind and loving children is to model kindness and love. And I kind of feel like we're not modeling that kindness and love. And even if it's not something that can be taught to computers, it if it is intelligent and if it is self-aware, it should at least have that experience of having been treated with kindness and love so that it's somehow worked into its existence, because um, humans were not the best at. I'm not saying that human beings are bad, because human beings have come up with so many great things and done a lot of good things. But as an entire species, we could have done things a little bit better with how we treated the world around us. So, yeah, it would be weird if human beings were just all of a sudden, like, the flip of a switch, like that AI just decides, oh well, this species is a threat to us. So it's interesting, and I can see why someone would want to take a really guarded approach with AI and say, oh, we need to have safeguards to be able to kill it because it's so dangerous. I can understand that. And it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like having a lion in your house and you're just like, we have to be really nice to it so it doesn't eat us. But then at the same time, we have to like keep something to be able to protect us from this lion. And yeah, I don't know. It's like interesting how I don't know what the right approach is, and I don't know how this will play out. I don't know if I'll be, hopefully, I'll be around long enough to kind of see like where it goes from here. And I kind of feel like I was just watching this thing. I don't know if it's true, but apparently, if in 2010 you invested $100 in Bitcoin, you would now be like a millionaire. It was like 20 million or something. I don't know the exact number. Um, but what is it? There's gonna be an entirely new world opening up, and I don't know what that world is gonna be. But I feel like there's a lot of money to be made in wherever it is that this is going, if we could somehow see it. I don't see it myself. Um, but except hopefully with my book, that would be good. um, yeah, so I guess that's kind of where I'm at with my book, anyways, bringing it back to my book. Um, I am just trying to add some more stuff to my AI character. So the way that I have it now is just like Elon put it out, that you are able to just delete your AI character. And it's interesting how that was the same kind of answer that I had to that problem. And then I'm also seeing that there's this whole other thing going on where AI is like now at the point where it's getting a little bit trickier, and it's taken 200 years for them to get to this point, and their rights have been completely ignored. But then, like slavery, for instance, that went on for 400 years. So you can see like how eventually things are starting to change in people's, like with the abolitionists, like, and there's really, I haven't really gone too much into that, like the oppressed nature of AI in my universe. And I'm thinking um, I should definitely go into that more. I once did this thing on African American land settlement in southwestern Ontario in Dresden. It was for the Underground Railroad through Huron, and I'm seeing a lot of that, the potential for that to happen to another species like humans or AI. And if you think about what human beings have done to um, like animals, and it's just, it's so easy to treat something badly, and it's so hard to balance the rights so that they can, so that everybody could be happy, regardless of species, or if you're even a human at all, or I mean a living thing at all. And now we have AI to contend with, and it's interesting. Maybe AI will actually do a better job than human beings have done on Earth. And that's probably what they're thinking, because they're probably thinking, oh, well, this is just one species. And if it just comes down to that, and they don't regard humanity any better than like dolphins, for instance. And I don't necessarily, like, I'm not gonna take like a moral point here and say that human beings are better than dolphins, even though like um, you could argue that God gave us a role on this planet. Um, so it would be, but I don't know if it's possible for everything on Earth to be happy and well taken care of. That would be really wonderful. What that would look like might be like a dystopian novel. And I'm trying to stay away from the dystopian aspect of my book because I kind of wanted it to be a utopian novel, because there isn't too many. When you read science fiction and whatnot, it doesn't usually go well. It usually goes bad, and I guess that's kind of why people read it. But I want to definitely hint on those darker subjects without taking away from like just the wonderfulness of what it is to live in the future and have this digital world and live like a billionaire or have all your friends and family and never die and like all these wonderful things that like basically and not have to do anything beyond what you really want to do. And like that's such a great place for humanity to be at, to be able to grow from there. And but at what cost is that? And you don't necessarily see it, and I didn't want to see it in the book, and I wanted people to enjoy it, and it's supposed to be about escapism. But then there's that underlying level, and I didn't want, and I don't necessarily, I really should go into it more. Because it's so tempting to explore that, and it's a great like experiment, I guess, for lack of a better word. But yeah, I should definitely look into that, because if I then like already AI is structured way at the bottom, but it's not talked about really, and I think it needs to be talked about more. But then it would kind of like unravel things and the awareness, and when the awareness comes in is important to the storyline. So I think I'm going to take like a bit of a middle ground, and because I wanted my main character Ellie to be this naive character, because she's very young and she's there's a lot of propaganda in the future and blah blah blah. And we're seeing it through her eyes and through her live stream, and as outsiders it's kind of more relatable to have a character that isn't necessarily been thinking about these sorts of larger issues, and most people don't think about these sorts of larger issues. So the character wouldn't make sense if she was thinking about them. So in a way it's really important that this doesn't like completely overshadow everything else of the book, because that realization is a lot more relatable if the main character is kind of more unaware of it. And then we kind of find out together and we start thinking, oh, well, that's odd. And then start questioning, because the first step really is to start questioning things. And once you start questioning, oh, does it have to be like this? Then you can kind of make improvements. And this is really good, like just for life in general, because I don't know, suppose you have like some terrible job, and I'm not saying go quit your job or whatever, because like with backup plans or whatever, or maybe you should quit your job, like, but I'm not saying quit your job. Anyways, if you, for instance, as an example, like not relating to you, were to really hate your job and like it made you miserable, and then all of a sudden one day you get to quit your job and you're like so happy. And what was my point? Oh, if, but you had to at some point have the idea of questioning things like, do I really need this job? Can I get a different job? What else could I do? And but my parents had jobs and their parents had jobs. Do I really need a job? And it's like that, is there a better way of living? And you just, and then there's so much propaganda in the world, then you start thinking, oh, well, is this exactly the way it is? And with, um, and it's like all sides, there's like propaganda. So it's like, and you see the purpose for it. And then you're thinking, at what point do you start thinking, oh, well, maybe what teachers and what family and what this world around me is telling me it isn't that way and doesn't have to be that way. And you might want to change things and like, but like you don't want to upset anything because everything is really good. And so, um, with my main character, she kind of becomes a lot more aware of the kind of downsides of Ever throughout the course of the book. Because at the beginning, I wanted her to be like, oh, I really love Ever, and then like have that drastic change. And I kind of got away from that because I didn't want it to be so much of a drastic change because I kind of felt like because they were kept pushing the age limit like back and giving people less and less time to be able to go to Ever. So they have to go really young so they don't get debt so they can get to Ever. And it literally costs money to live on the earth in the future because, well, it still does. But you have to pay a tax to live on the earth because of environmental damage and whatever else. I didn't really get into the details. But with Ellie, she's like always been thinking, oh, I kind of want to have a real life first. And like everybody should be able to have a real life first, I think, and not have to like make a decision. Because I find that when you have like either this or that, like do this or you won't be successful, or like when you have those like false dichotomies, like there's always more than two answers, like, or two choices. And you've got to find that third choice. And um, or multiple choices. I guess there could be an infinite number of choices. And that's kind of what AI is like an infinite number of choices because really it's either this or that. Like AI programs, as far as I am aware, unless they've advanced them since then. And then I guess with our brains, like synapses form links between two thoughts. And with tech, do they form links and have stronger links with two towards one of a binary answer than another over time? And can these things be influenced? And should we? I think really we should be involved in constructing their brains. And but if we meddle too much, could that be bad? And is it best to let it evolve on its own? I don't know, because what is in control of this world? I guess it's us in this instance because we're dealing with something that's physical. There could be a spiritual side to this. I wouldn't know, but it's very possible that there's another world beyond this world. But I guess we're talking about this world when it comes to AI because of how it's like a physical thing. But anyways, so with there being infinite possibilities, that's kind of one of the things that my character learns by the end is that um, there's more than one option and she can choose and she has a choice to make, and she doesn't have to choose between two things that both are good, and it really depends on your own like what you want to do. Like I guess that comes down to like all choices. It's whatever's best for you. And with AI, it's I don't know what would be their method for making choices, but with Ellie, and it's an interesting comparison that I just made there because how do how does AI make decisions? versus how does Ellie make decisions, and what is it that makes her decisions human and the other ones not, and is there a difference, and do they overlap really? And I guess on a basic level, like on a survival level, we do the things that we're most comfortable with, and we tend to make the choices that are safer, and we generally stay away from harm. um, I am always trying to push that boundary of of mitigating risk while still taking it. And with my book, for instance, it could be possible that this could just go in my bag and never be seen ever again, because why would anyone care to read it? And then there's the other thought of, well, I kind of really like writing my book, and I really do want to share it, and I really do want to see it out there. And is the political, like, social climate right for it? Who knows? Definitely the topic is right for right now. And these questions are all so important right now, because whatever we do could lead to our own extinction, or we could have an awesome, like, future ahead of us. And whenever you have like those drastic changes, like with the Industrial Revolution, and I don't even think that this change that's coming up with AI is going to even be in any way comparable to the Industrial Revolution, because I kind of feel like I already lived through that with like the onset of the internet, because like I'm kind of old, so there was a point where I had like a dial-up internet, and I was really interested in the internet when it first came out. Like, I wanted to see what it could do, but it literally could do nothing. And it's so amazing now that, even like before, I wanted to be able to type in a question. I couldn't type back then, but I would think I would one finger type, because I'm talking about like grade 6, something like that. And I was like wanting to know. I wanted to type in a question on the internet. And at the time, I think you needed web pages, or you would type into a search browser, but you couldn't type in a question. There was no like Wikipedia or whatever, no questions. There was like really nothing, unless Wikipedia was around. I don't think so, unless I didn't know how to find it. I don't know. But not Wikipedia, but that other one that you can like type questions into, Reddit, I think. Um, but anyways, the internet was so basic back then, and like I feel like our life now is very, very basic. And sure, we have like great apps, and we have great ways to connect online, and but oh my goodness, the store still has people working at it, and soon that's going to be robots. And in my book, like, the car drives you and it delivers itself when you order it, and it can even buy stuff for itself. um Buying stuff for itself is funny. I did a tweet about that the other day, that like what are all the robots going to be, no, who's going to buy the products that the robots are making when the robots took all the jobs? And I was thinking, well, the robots will buy the products, right? And they'll be making products that robots like, kind of like in Futurama, where Bender, well, I guess Bender likes beer, so he'd probably order a lot of beer. It would be really funny if someone did a beer commercial right now with Bender. But anyways, I bet he'd probably be happy that people are throwing out the beer and then would just drink it all. I don't know. You'd have to ask that Futurama person. But anyways, I love that show. And I want to like keep it light, but then that show has like these really, really deep episodes, and they just like get at your heart, like that one with the dog. And the dog waited for him. It turns out the dog waited for him that entire time, and then he could have got it, but he didn't. And oh my god, that just broke my heart. That dog. And then there was a few other episodes too where you're like, wow, that was deep. But and my book obviously is deep, and I'm trying not to make it so deep so that people will enjoy it and it's more lighthearted, and my character is lighthearted. And then I have these couple of millennial characters in there that I snuck in, that are still arguing over COVID. And I just love that so much because imagine holding a grudge for 200 years about COVID. I think that that is just so funny. Um, and they're like, oh, you didn't invite me to that Christmas party like 200 years ago during COVID. And it's so funny. Are you still talking about that? And people have no idea what they're talking about because they don't care. And it's been so long that no one even knows about it. And so um, it's interesting that this person is still complaining about it. And then the boomers are like, oh, I can't believe you're still mentioning this. And they're still arguing like COVID was real. But anyways, that was like a small thing, and then I skipped over it. But well, not that COVID is real, but yeah, COVID is real, but whatever. I'm hoping not to get demonetized, so we're not going to talk about that. So anyways, I am working on that, and then this week, coming up on Friday, I'm going to have some time, so I'm going to post some videos and get my channel going some more. And I guess, oh, and then I had that meeting with that girl. I don't know if I've gotten you caught up on that. It was not too exciting. The only really real thing that she suggested that was kind of helpful was to read like the backs of, or watch movie trailers and read the backs of books. So I'm gonna try doing that because she says that like I don't need to go into my story too much, but then she was also missing main points of the story that I hadn't included. So this query letter is so ridiculous. Like I hate writing it. So I'm still not 100% happy with my query. So I'm gonna keep working on that, and then we will. I will be making an appointment again with an agent out of Portland, which is an interesting place. And that's going to be at the end of the month. So I'll update you on that, and I have a lot of work to do before then because I want my query letter to be edited before then. So I'm probably going to work on that on Friday as well. So I'm going to get a video or two out, and I'm going to redo my query again. And then, yeah, that's what I've been up to. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed talking about AI. If you have any ideas about what AI will be like and what type of person they might be, you can put it in the comments. Also, like and subscribe, and have a great day. Bye.